Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Ellie's Studio, and I'm sharing with you this 2-photo layout of my daughter and the cats that is primarily focusing on a product, and that product from Ellie's Studio is the large heart Jane alpha stamp. So I am going to create the layout first and then show you how I've used the stamp to create my title. So what I have here are the Love Notes die cuts. When I get these die cuts that have a mix, I like to separate them. So in the front of the package, I have the labels and the circles, and then in the back of the package, I have the hearts, the big hearts and the little hearts. And so you can see from the color palette that the hearts come in 5 different shades. You have the lavender, white, a pink, and more of a peachy pink, and then you have that teal or aqua, whichever color you decide. And so that becomes the color palette for this layout, which works really well with the muted colors that are also in the photo. I want to have a border down the left-hand side that is going to anchor these floating hearts that are going to nestle the photos. And so I'm not sure what color I want, and I ultimately decide to go with this pinky red grid. I'm literally going to cut that piece of paper in half, and it stacks perfectly and lines up so that it becomes what appears to be a seamless piece of 12 by 12 paper that moves down that left hand side there. So I'm going to anchor those down, and that gives me basically my background that I'm then going to layer all of these hearts. It's a literal cascade of hearts that fall down the page. So knowing how busy that is, I don't want to journal directly onto the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 3x4 pocket card behind one of these 2 photos, and I'm going to use one of the new labels, the January 2022 labels, instead of washi as my flip up, so that the journaling is then hidden underneath, and that process is coming. That's what I'm going to work on now. So I literally have lined up the photo, and I decide that I'm going to use the teal because I don't have a lot of teal or aqua in what I'm using, and so that I want to put a little pop more of teal, and I'm literally going to fold the label in half, and by using a really secure, thicker, double-sided tape that gives me the stability of the label, and so there, just score it halfway and then anchor that down and see how that provides a fun flip up for your layout. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use one of those large hearts, the die cuts, at the top of the heart to kind of hold it and help secure that down. Because of the thickness of the cardstock in the label, it is a little bit thicker than a washi would be, and so it does tend to hold the photo higher off the journaling card. So in order to create some visual interest and add a little bit more of the brighter colors that I like to use in my scrapbooking, I am using the paper stack that was released this month. So that is the Love You paper stack with one of the older metal dies. So this is the My Heart metal die. You have multiple size hearts. Some are stitched and some are non-stitched. I am going with the stitched hearts because, one, they're a different shape from the hearts that are in the die cuts, which adds a little bit of visual interest and contrast, as well as with the stitching, it adds a little bit more texture to the page as well. So I'm going to try and balance the brightness of the papers with the more muted feeling of the die cut hearts. I also want to get a balance between the use of same product and different product as you move down the page as well. So at this point, I really like the cascade. What I'm struggling with is that I have that one single teal heart. I'm also struggling with the fact that the pink on that background feels like it's getting lost, and so I want to add a little bit more contrast. So I'm using, I think this was a gel pen. Yep, a gel pen. It's a little bit brighter than I would have wanted, but it's what I had, and so I'm going to go with it and just outline one of those hearts. I am going to do that later on with a souffle pen, which is a much more subtle look, but again, just provides that fun detail to the hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and secure those down and see how I overlap just that teeny part of that heart there that helps hold the photo down. Not important when you have it behind a page protector, but once it is out of the protector, I do like that, especially for photographing purposes, um, that it is not at that funny angle that it was at. You could see it at while I was creating. So also released this month, you have these chipboard hearts that you can see to the left of the screen there, the Heart and Star chipboard stickers. So those come in that red palette. So you've got your purples, reds, and your pinks of the hearts and the stars. So I'm going to use those for a little bit more texture throughout the layout. It's another fun way of getting a little bit more purple in the layout. You can see I just have that one purple heart up there. And I don't believe I don't have the paper stack in front of me, but I don't believe that there's purple in the paper stack. So by using the chipboard hearts, I was able to incorporate a little bit more of that purple into the layout. And you can see I've got that piece of teal or aqua pattern paper to my right that has all of the bubble phrases in it. I wanted to get, see, I'm pointing to that teal heart. I need to get a little bit more teal in, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. I had thought maybe I might use the bubble paper, but I don't like the bubble paper. I needed more consistency of depth of color. So I pull out the paper stack and the smaller heart, and that is a perfect just little touch there. I don't want a ton of the teal, but I do want a little bit. So I'm going to sprinkle these chipboard hearts in. Again, they are chipboard, and so they are a little bit more dimension to add dimension to the page. They also add that smaller heart. I am okay with white space. I'm not looking to fill the white space with those smaller hearts. I'm just looking to add more visual contrast to that cascade of hearts there. And so also released this month are these white shapes, which is super cool because you can color those any color that you want. You can get out your inks and just color those in. But I like the contrast that that's providing. And again, I have that one white heart from the die cuts and like to have a little bit more mix of color going down the page there. So you can see I've used a couple of these chipboard stickers. So these are the Love chipboard stickers. And so I primarily am using it just for that teal there. I also feel like I need a little bit more pop, a bigger pop of that bright red. And so I'm going to use one of the chipboard hearts that also comes from that right there. I love that that's a different shape heart, and so adds to the visual interest of the page there. So that in essence is going to be the layout. It really kind of just needs a title, and then it also really needs a little something on the right hand side. But I lose sight of that while I'm designing the title, and we'll come back to that at the end. I like how fussy cutting some of those bubble phrases, so I just did 3 of them. Adds a little bit more teal, and B, it adds a slightly different shape for a little bit of contrast, so that your eye doesn't get bored of that repetition as it moves down the page there. It also helps me tie in the balancing piece, which is going to come at the end to the right hand side of the layout. You can see how everything is literally on that left, from the center over to the left hand side of the page, and if you were to put it on a scale, it would literally tip to the left. So it definitely needs some balance to it. If I had journaled on the page, that would be okay. So here's where I am featuring the large heart Jane alpha stamps, newly released this month. There are numbers that come with it too. And so I'm double stamping. What you haven't seen me do here is I've already stamped just the ink from the solid Jane stamp. And now I'm using the heart stamp to double stamp on top of that, that stamps the outline in black, which really, really punctuates the letters. It's cool to have that white background. I could have done it on colored paper as well, but then I wouldn't have that nice crisp white border. And so a great way of getting colored letters, kind of like thickers, all to yourself, right? That you've created all on your own. And then of course using the Jane Alpha metal die to cut those out. I could have stamped directly on the page, but that would have meant not being able to overlap my embellishment, my titles, my letters onto my embellishments. And so this is a way of being able to get that overlap without having to stamp through all of the bulkiness and the different textures of those stamps. So there we go. My own letter sticker thickers created using the Jane Alpha stamps. So if you have already bought the solids, that's a great way of how you can incorporate the solids into using these heart stickers. So I'm going to shuffle these around. Again, I'm looking for balance on my page. I really wanted you to be able to see the work that I'd done with the stamps, but at the same time, I didn't want to ruin the proportions on the page, and so that's why they end up having to go on top of the hearts themselves as opposed to into that white space there. You can see I'm trying very hard to get them into the white space. I didn't want the color competition of color on top of color, but what I am going to do is I'm going to use some of the Jane stickers from way back when from Elle Studio. I have some black that incorporates a little bit more black into it and draws your eye and grounds that title in there. And next up is just going to be that little balance that I'm going to use to balance out the page, just with a few of the die cuts from the kit, and then a few of the hearts. So that will wrap up the page. Is there anything in particular that really stands out for you in the January kit and add-ons? I really loved those stamps. Those stamps are amazing. They are tried and true, and I use them a lot for title work. All of the Elle Studio letters, alphas, and stickers and stamps. So there we go, my friends. I hope you have enjoyed the January kit and all of the products that we have shared with you and the examples that we have given. Be sure to come back later this month because I have one more layout already done, and I'm sure there are more to come. Enjoy the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.